Okay, well, good evening, everyone. Today, my colleagues are here representing University of Washington in Bothell in the Latino Education Training Institution. We will be presenting information that can help support students, parents, guardians, and or families with their transition to college. I can present next slide. I wanted to talk a little bit about each of my colleagues. This is Jessica, and unfortunately, Jessica was gonna talk about her bio, but I think she's having some problems with her audio. Jessica, her pronouns are she, they, and she's a senior studying educational studies and minoring in diversity studies. And next slide, please. And this is me. My name is Mari, and I am a senior studying media and communication with minor in human rights and public policy. And I would also like to present my other colleagues for the program, and they may be here today too. So next one, please. This is Marta, and Marta, it's a junior studying health studies, and in the future, she wants to go into pre-nursing or pre-med. In my next one, here's Tylee. She's a junior, and she is into cultural literature and the arts major, and Tylee wants to become a creative writer and also like to go into publishing later. Next, please. This is Bia. She's a junior studying global studies and minor in Portuguese. In the future, she wants to work in a nonprofit organization as well as conservation of the environment. Okay, so I think we would like to get to know more about the students that are here tonight and what you all want to learn from this workshop. It would be great if you all could put your name in the chat, your grade, your favorite food, and then we can learn a little bit more from the workshop as you guys write some information. And is that gonna work okay?
Yes, that should work fine. So everyone should have access to the chat.
Okay.
And then I'm just going to repeat again just to be sure. So if you need interpretation in Spanish, on the bottom of your screen should be a circle button that says interpretation with the INTER. This is only accessible through a laptop or a cell phone. For some reason, Chromebooks don't allow it. So si usted necesita interpretación, en la parte de abajo de su pantalla va a haber un círculo que comienza, va a decir interpretación con INTR y va a oprimirlo y le va a dar la opción de inglés-español. Esta interpretación solamente funciona en celulares y computadoras. Desafortunadamente no es una opción para las Chromebooks. All right, I'm going to hand it back to you, Marie.
Okay, thank you, Sally. And while folks are putting their information and favorite foods in the chat, I was gonna ask Jessica, I don't know if she's back or not. If she's not available, then I was gonna ask her about her favorite food, but if not, maybe I'll ask you, Sally, if you have a favorite food.
I love all foods, but I will say that my favorite food from my country, I'm from Peru, is lomo saltado, which is steak with vegetables sauteed and on top of rice and fries.
Whoa, that sounds really good. I don't think I've ever heard that. Yeah, that's really good. My favorite food is black beans with sugar, and that's very typical in some areas where I come from. Is from Venezuela. So,
Mari, I'm connected now.
You're back. Okay, great. So here's Jessica. I was gonna ask you about your favorite food, Jessica.
My favorite food is mango with tajin, and yeah. And so I guess next off we're gonna start with discussing the main topics for tonight's presentation. So next slide. So some topics we will be discussing about college or and different types of pathways. So like, what's your goal from college? Applying for Usfa, Fafsa, applying for scholarship, and addressing any questions you all have is what we'll be covering today. So first we will address the multiple pathways after high school. Some are technical schools, community college, and may even be a gap year if you want and have the space to do it. And you need space to just think and what would be best for you. So Mari, I know you have personal experience with multiple pathways after high school. Could you talk a little bit about what you did and your own experiences?
Sure, Jessica. Yes. Let's see. One of the things I did was I worked with a CPA, or I was trained with a CPA for many years, and I learned how to do taxes and accounting for about 10 years. So that was one of the things I did before going to college.
Thank you for sharing, Maddie. I know you also had experience with being a transfer student. Why did you choose to attend community college?
You know, community college for me was more affordable. I also chose community college because I wanted to be better prepared to go to a bigger university. I wasn't sure I was totally ready. And community college was a great way to start, especially if you're unsure about what major or career path you want to go into. In the community college, I went to Bellevue College. They had a lot of resources, for example, in my case, to learn to write better English and pronunciation and even math. I really wanted a stronger math foundation before getting into math that was more complicated. And that was very important for me to accomplish. So I think, and one thing I do want to make sure folks understand and they're aware that sometimes college credits may not always transfer. So that's one thing. If you choose to go to community college or Bellevue College, you gotta make sure you check with your advisors before you decide which route you're gonna go and what's best for you. So if we're talking about community college, if there's something, if that's something you wanted to pursue, then we should go into the next note. So next slide.
So a couple things you need to consider when you're applying to college and universities is that usually one class is 5 credits and each credit is 3 hours. And it would be around 15 hours per class. And usually financial aid wants you to be full-time enrolled in order to receive financial aid. And that usually consists of 13 credits or more. When picking your classes, you should consider other things that might impact your time, whether that be a job or you have to take care of siblings or any other commitments, as well as have know like the background of the courses that you're taking and you're going to be enrolled in. Sometimes if you don't have background in the classes that you enroll in, it can be really hard to grasp the concepts and it will take more time to study and learn the topics. I've personally had to retake classes because I wasn't prepared for the courses, and I personally had to reorganize my schedule and had to put more time and effort to do scheduling just because I didn't really know that each credit was 3 hours. But how about you, Maddie? I know you have you attend college and you're also a parent. So could you talk a little bit about your experience?
You know, yes, I actually, one of the best things I was able to do is I have to have a calendar to make sure I was using my time efficiently. And in order to go to college, you need to have a good plan, I think. For example, I have to make sure to have enough time to study because that was my priority. So I need to put that in my calendar, and also want to make time to eat healthy, do a little exercise, and take care of my kids. I also did some work at a local radio station. So all that time, I was able to accomplish the things I needed to do by having a calendar. You can either use your phone or you can just purchase the old-fashioned calendar where you can write things down. And sometimes after you do that, you realize that you do have time, but you spend it and doing things that maybe are not taking you anywhere. So I really recommend a calendar. It's a good way to keep track of your time. So that's that's one of the things I was able to do. So we're gonna go into the next slide. Let's see. Okay. So to the next point, I think it's important to know what you want from college. Some people go to college to learn more about the world, network, or just to learn more about themselves. In my experience, because I did not have the chance to go to college, I wanted to learn and be exposed to a more academic learning. Also, I know that most jobs require a 4-year degree program. And for me, it was important to have a job that provide economic stability and also health benefits. And college degree can also give you a lot more independence from parents, relatives, or partners. Jessica, why do you attend to college?
I personally attended college to also get more job opportunities. There isn't much available for folks that graduate with a high school degree and provided the needs that you just addressed. I feel to a certain extent, I learned much more about my ethnic background and my identity and how the world functions as a whole. And I really got the opportunity to learn about institutional inequalities. And it put me more wanting to learn about how to be civically engaged and do work around it. And throughout this opportunity of going to a college, I got to meet like senators and find other job opportunities, as well as work with the community and find my own community, which was really important for me. And prior to this work and going to college, I didn't feel much of a community. Yeah. So going to the next slide, with the idea of attending college, we have to say college does not guarantee a job. In fact, around 70% of people that have their jobs are because of the people they know. So it's really important once you attend college to be able to want to grow and learn, whether that be talking to people in class, forming a study group, talking to professors. Professors are not like teachers. They are more open to discussions about life and their own beliefs as well. And this has led me into spaces of researching and even being in this space today. And I think it's always being able to always talk to people is always amazing. And even if you don't know them, it's a journey. And if you get the opportunity to talk to people, it can really help you to find different things and interests you want to do. And in my own experience, at my first 2 years at the University of Washington, I wasn't so focused on, I was so focused on completing the coursework that I didn't really, and also taking care of my own child and my full-time job, I didn't really find where I found joy. And I feel like I was always super stressed and I had really bad back pain from just overworking and not really taking time to like know the campus that I was at. And then after that, I started to get really involved with the community at Bothell. And I've gotten to be in multiple spaces, from peer navigator at the Diversity Center to Senator of Student Advocacy and with student government, president of the Latinx Student Union, and other more opportunities. I think that's something that I wish I could have done in the past was just meet more folks that already graduated, just to get to know people who graduated from the institution that I attended, and see what they're doing outside of Bothell.
Well, thank you for sharing, Jessica. I think it's important to know, let's go to the next slide and college decisions. Yeah, I think it's important to know that other than finding a job, you need to know why you are in college. What majors are you considering? What other things do you want to do in college? And what do you want your social life to be like? Some universities are better known to for specific things. So it's always a really good idea to do research and look at all the institutions and see if they offer something that match your needs. I personally wanted to attend University of Washington in Bothell because, first of all, like I mentioned before, I never had a chance to get a formal education and always knew the importance of having knowledge, not just from reading books, but from professors that specialize in topics that I have interest. Also, networking opportunities, personal growth, self-improve, and self-esteem, and positive return on investment. That's what I think college is. And I think now we're gonna go and take a little break. If you think, Sally, or should we continue into, we can either do a little break or go into Fafsa.
Could we maybe take a break and see if there are any questions right now, just because we're still doing good on time?
Sure, and also maybe we can check the chat and see if people have any questions.
Yes, if you prefer not to speak, feel free to type your question in the chat in English or in Spanish.
So should we go 10-minute break?
Yeah, we can do a quick break.
Or five? What do you suggest?
Maybe just a small break, a 5-minute break.
5 minutes.
Quick.
Okay, perfect.
I'm gonna press pause. Okay, Marie, I've started the recording back up. And just a little reminder, you've been doing great this last half, but remember to pace, both of you, to pace a little slower when we're talking to help our interpreter out. Usually what I try to do is say a sentence and then pause for 3 seconds because it gives them a chance to catch up with the translation, with the interpretation.
That's true, Sally. I apologize for that. Yeah, I totally forgot. I realized that after just a little while. I was thinking, oh, sure, I think they have to translate this. And yeah, somehow okay, we will definitely do that.
Yeah, no worries. And then I was wondering, oops, sorry, that was my timer. I had a question about making a college decision, and maybe it's helpful, like if one of you could share like how you chose your college, what were some of the things outside of what you just shared that you had to take into account?
You mean like so how we choose to, for example, I choose to go to Bellevue College, 1, because I wasn't sure about the major, and 2, because financial reasons. So you want us to talk about maybe a little bit more what else brought us to choose that specific college or University of Washington, for example?
Yes, I think that's helpful to students to know what other people who wanted to go to college had to think about prior to making that decision.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. I don't know if Jessica is there. You heard that, Jessica?
Yeah, should I share a little bit? So for me personally, I only applied to the University of Washington, Seattle, and then University of Washington, Bothell, and community college. And I got denied from UW Seattle because it is a campus it's really hard to get into. And I got into UW Bothell, and they offered a financial aid. They offered the Husky Promise, and I believe it's meant for students who are lower income, and it was full paid. And that's why I decided to attend the University of Washington, Bothell. But I liked it way more than I thought I would. So yeah, that's the only reason why I don't have a bigger reason. And it's also close to home. So I guess you could say I wouldn't be leaving the state, and I would be able to be with my daughter. So yeah, it was just more financial reasons, if anything.
Okay, Jessica, so somehow maybe if you want to share that, and you can ask me so I can share maybe part of why I choose to go to University of Washington, for example. Should we do that before? I mean, somehow, I guess.
We already, so Marie, everyone's back. So I think they heard Jessica. So if you wanted to share something, that'd be great too. I just think it's helpful to like walk through someone's real life back and forth.
Okay, I'm sorry. Yes. Well, for me, one of the reasons I choose University of Washington and Bothell is because I learned from different people that they have a much more diverse group of students, and also the professors in there. Because it's smaller, you actually can get a one-on-one with the professor instead of going to a bigger university where sometimes you don't have a chance to talk to the professor, but more with the assistant professors. And I really like that. So that's one of the reasons I choose University of Washington in Bothell.
Thank you. That was super helpful. I'll switch to your next slide now, if that's good.
Yeah, that's good. I think it'd be another one more. Okay. So welcome back, folks. I hope you all had the opportunity to stretch or get some water or whatever you all needed to be back in the space. And in this slide, we're going to go over what FAFSA is and who qualifies for FAFSA. So generally, the eligibility requirements for financial aid need for FAFSA is you need to be a U.S. citizen or an eligible non-citizen and enrolled in an eligible degree or certified program at your college or career school. And there are more eligibility requirements. You must need to qualify for federal student aid. There are different types of aids that you can receive from FAFSA, whether that be grants, and this is just money you receive from the government and you do not pay back. You can also get work study, and this is where you can get a job at the institution you're enrolled from the federal government, and they pay you a specific salary and you're employed at the school, whether you can do this like while you're doing research or while some of the things that I do on campus, Senator of Student Advocacy, so student government, or just there's multiple jobs. You just kind of have to look for them. It varies depending on the institution that you're enrolled at. There's also loans, and this is money that you're borrowing from the university, and you can repay them, but sometimes some of them have interest, so you have to be careful how that they vary, and depending on the loan, it can be basically taken away for certain jobs. I know some there's specific jobs that you can become like a teacher and you can get them like I believe it's called forgiven, but you have to be careful with that too when you're signing up for loans. And so FAFSA is an application, and usually it opens in the fall. So it's going to open in fall of 2021, and it'll be closed until June of the next year, so June 2022. And if you're graduating and are planning to attend higher education, you should this year, if you're graduating this year and applying and going to an institution in fall of 2021, you should probably start doing that application as soon as possible. And so here's, you can go to the next slide. Oh, there. Right. No. So here are some really simple, helpful tips when applying to FAFSA. So before you begin the application, you should have your family tax records in your hand, whether that be in the computer or printed. And remember, you have to reapply every single year to keep the tax records to be updated. And second of all, if your parent, guardian doesn't have a social security number, you can always put 0000000 in the box, and then you just provide their signature, and then you send it off to the FAFSA address that they give you. And then third of all, signing up for work study. If you think of working during college, this is a great opportunity. This can really help you with like whatever role you want to do once you graduate. So say there's an opportunity to do research with biology and you want to be a doctor in the future, that would be a great place where you can get some income and work, and it has to do with the experience you need for your future career. And fourth of all, if you have any specific questions about applications, don't worry. Usually Google has like a couple, Google really helps like clarify some of those questions, and there's usually also a phone number you can call on FAFSA if you have any specific questions for them. And then next up, I'm going to pass it to Mari to talk a little bit about WASFA.
Hi, thank you, Jessica. Well, WASFA is a free application for state financial aid for students who are not eligible for federal aid because of immigration status, and this is including undocumented students. So I'm gonna talk about the requirements for WASFA, and they are first that you must have graduated from Washington High School or gotten a GED here in Washington. You have to live in Washington State for 3 years prior to graduating, as well as writing a promise that when eligible, you will apply to become a permanent resident of the US. So WASFA applications are also open until June, but like I say, you need to apply, you need to do it soon. Let's see, let's go to the next slide. So I wanna talk about scholarships. Scholarships can vary tremendously in requirements for eligibility. Most are based on financial need, but there are scholarships fund that for very unique niche in local situations, such as scholarship fund for students or families in the fruit growing business here in Washington. So websites like, I don't know if anybody heard, and I think Jessica have more experience with this. She talked to me about the scholarship junkies, and you can filter through many options, making it easier to narrow to the ones you are eligible for. So the first thing you need to do is always you need to fill out FAFSA, because most scholarships will ask for it before you can even apply for anything else. So by having that information, that will speed up the application process. Apply early, that's always very important. For most scholarships in any type of financial aid, the earlier you apply, the better your chances of receiving aid. Always keep an eye on the day it opens and when it's due. Those days are always very important, and I recommend maybe writing it down in calendars and put it in the refrigerator so you can remember. Look for local scholarships too. They tend to have a smaller applicant pool, so higher chances of getting any money, such as local banks like BECU. Another way it is if you have any guardian who have been in the military, there are a lot of options for military families. Most institutions will offer their own scholarships. And what you need to do is to go into your institution financial aid office or the webpage and ask about the scholarships they offer. So that's the best way to start. These are just some of the resources and local scholarships that you can possibly apply. And if you want just to take a picture of them to keep it, because for the most part, the scholarships they have passed. So it's important to keep that in mind. But for any seniors enrolled in institution in the fall of 2021, the application for most scholarships has likely passed. But don't worry, you can apply again next semester or next year in some cases. And don't forget to fill out FAFSA as soon as possible to receive financial aid. So sometimes people forget the deadlines and then they miss their chances. So thank you. I think that's all about we have for scholarships today.
I think, Mari, someone in the chat put, what do scholarships ask you for? So from my experience, there's all sorts of scholarships. There's scholarships, like, or there's ones that are just like, what's your favorite pizza? Like, submit a video and we'll give you $1,000. There's like so many scholarships and so many different ones. So it really depends on what they ask for. Some of them will ask like very specific, like, oh, US citizen, a video of this and that. Or some of them don't really care about that, and it'll be different. So it varies like where you find the scholarship and what they ask. Like when you click these links, or I don't know if you all have access to these slides, But when you do, you can click on these links, and these links lead to scholarships, and each scholarship has a definition of what they're looking for and who can apply to them. So yeah. Do you have anything more to add, Mari?
No, I think that's all for scholarships. I think that's great, Jessica. Yeah, I think there's so many scholarships out there, and every scholarship have different requirements. Some require more than others, you know, and so I think it's great to start looking in advance. And yeah, first of all, to look at the institution you're planning to apply.
Okay, next up, we just have, like, if anyone has any questions, you can put them in the chat, you can unmute, whatever's easier for you.
I'm gonna stop the recording since we got a good percentage of your presentation. So let me do that.